Hello, everybody. Welcome to Move TV. Yes, the first one in a long line of Move TVs. I'm going to bring in our special guest straight away. Welcome to Rachel. Hello.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Love your background.
Thank you. It's I painted it myself back in January.
Especially just for this.
Yeah. Little did I know back in January that's what I was doing it for.
Now, for anyone that hasn't watched this before, which is everybody because nobody's watched Move TV before, it's very simple. Well, we're going to be talking to some of the people that go to Move Online. If you don't know what Move Online is, stay on and listen because we will tell you a little bit further into this show. But Rachel, how long ago did I meet you?
It's a few months ago.
About a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And I've watched your posts on things like LinkedIn. You're incredibly energetic. You almost wear me out with your enthusiasm for the sport of being fit and healthy. What is it that you do?
So I'm a health coach and I help more specifically women who are approaching the 50s to improve their health so they can spend less time at the doctors and more time spending it with friends and family, with those who matter the most to them.
That's a fantastic niche. What made you decide to niche down into that group?
A mixture of reasons, really. So the main one is witnessing a lot of other people around me, people in work, like family as well, who are reaching that age and are starting to struggle with certain aspects of their age. And I've just been noticing as well, a lot of people, they're spending a lot of time in work, they're coming up to retirement. You know, they've got these big plans that they want to do at retirement, but then the health isn't allowing them to do that. You know, they then go spending a lot of time at the doctors or going to hospital appointments, and they're not getting to really live the life that they want to because of all these health issues that are arising.
Well, and that's for all those people, all those women in particular, that can afford to retire.
Yeah.
I mean, are you actually facing, and are you hearing from people that as well, that actually a lot of women can't afford to retire these days? They're having to work longer. They're having to actually continue in the workforce for longer than they perhaps would have liked to.
Yeah.
You know, and then that means you've got to look after your health so that you can stay in the workplace.
Yeah, no, I think there's a few, but even so now, I think it's probably going to see a lot more women in that situation, you know, with the prices of energy, you know, cost of living's going up. So even if they do have the chance to retire now, they may have not prepared for, you know, the financial situation as it is now. So that may, you know, push them into having to stay and work longer. And again, you know, health is a big aspect of whether you can continue to work or not. So yeah.
So listen, pretend for a minute I'm a 50-year-old woman. I'm a 51-year-old man. So there's not, you know, the age thing's nearly there.
I still can't get over you. You're 51. You don't look it. You look younger.
Really? Oh well, there you go. That's very nice of you to say. But if I came to you for advice, what are some of the things that I would be coming to you about? What are the kind of typical things that a 50-year-old lady would normally say? I'm starting to notice this.
So it'd be like aches and pains, struggling to do generally everyday stuff. What I like to say is a lot of it's to do with the things that people typically brush off as just old age. I can't sleep because, you know, I'm getting old now, or I can't do that type of exercise anymore because, you know, I'm 50. Like I can't
reach my shoes in the morning to tie my shoelaces.
Yeah. Things like that. And so it's similar things like that, and I'm so passionate about it because although it is inevitable that we are going to age, our body is going to have wear and tear. We're not going to be able to do things like we used to in our 20s. It doesn't happen as fast as people necessarily believe it does. You know, I read something about there was a woman in the US, a nun, who was in her 90s, and she's just completed a triathlon, and it just goes to show what's possible. And that isn't to say you need to do a triathlon to be healthy, but I think as we get older, people put themselves in a box and say, I'm no longer capable of doing that. But, you know, you're only capable, you know, there's so many other possibilities out there what you could do.
Do you think the pandemic kind of expedited this, that made it more likely that people, well, did it make people unfit? Really, I certainly know when lockdown happened, etc., everybody in this house started baking cakes and not going out, which is not necessarily a good thing. I think actually at first there was more exercise going on, but with time it kind of, you know, graduated towards sort of a lack of activity. And I noticed that online. I noticed more and more people saying, oh, I'm not doing anything today. I'm just staying here. So there's kind of, there was a lethargy, and more people are working from home as well. So not necessarily getting any kind of activity into their kind of daily routines, with maybe once they actually, even if it was walking to the train station and then walking from a train to an office or whatever, all of those kind of little residual bits of exercise have gone, you know. And if you're stuck in a house working all day long at the computer, you know, it can lead to just inactivity all day. Is that something you found?
Yeah, well, I think it's not just inactivity as well, because of what I witnessed, because I worked with a few people during lockdown who were obviously working from home, and the biggest thing that they found wasn't necessarily the inactivity, it was actually the capability to switch off from work.
Right.
Because traveling to and from work allowed them the time to, you know, put work aside, and they knew, right, when I get home, this is my own time. Whereas because they're not having that gap and they're working from home, it's hard to distinguish between work and, you know, their free time essentially. So what I found with them was that they're actually working longer hours because they couldn't switch off. So they'd actually go and check their work emails before bed and then struggle to sleep. And and then that then have a knock-on effect on other areas of the health.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when the pandemic first started and the lockdown first started, I was involved in workplace assessment still, and I noticed that there was, it comes from both sides as well. There were a lot of people that were deliberately sort of switching on earlier to log on earlier and get on with things from an early point, but then they wouldn't switch off in the evenings. But also, have to say, a lot of bosses weren't particularly great at that as well. A lot of organizations weren't particularly good at that. They wouldn't necessarily realize that people just needed some kind of downtime. And actually, when they thought, if you think about it, that even in an office, there are actually quite a lot of downtimes during the day when you go to the toilet, you have a meeting over here, you have a little lunch break or whatever. But when people are working from home, they kind of can skip a lot of those things. And I saw a lot of people that were going from Zoom meeting to Zoom meeting to Zoom meeting to Zoom meeting, not a break in between them at all, you know, and it was just no physical activity. Craig's just, hi, Craig. Thanks for tuning in. He's just popped up there, the link. So anyone that wants to see that as well, there's the link to your 91 years young Iron Nun. Sounds like a drink.
I haven't even done a triathlon yet, so
That's amazing, absolutely amazing. So yeah, I mean, you found the same thing, that you know, people been telling you that this is the kind of work routine that they've got into, and
so with you saying as well, like, it's a consistent meetings. What they also found was that they miss the social interaction. which again will have affected everyone as well during COVID, when you can't obviously go and see friends and family who weren't in your bubble. That has a big impact on obviously your mental health as well as your overall health as well. So yeah, a lot of people struggled. Well, a lot of people said they'd prefer to be in work because they miss the banter, they miss the actual seeing people face to face. While they could chat to people online, it wasn't the same. And I can totally relate to that as well. Like, I'd much sooner. While technology is amazing, you know, we're managing to have this chat now, and you're all the way down south, and I'm up north. I personally prefer to see people in person. So yeah.
No, that makes sense. But yeah, absolutely. Since we've gone online, I think I've had conversations with people all around the world: Africa, South Africa. I think I spoke at the South African Ergonomic Conference last year. I mean, it was just amazing. But all from the power of the screen.
Yeah.
which is fabulous. Send your money now, if you want to. Now listen, so 50, that kind of age bracket as well. When I was doing workplace assessments, I was shocked actually at the amount of workplace assessments that I needed to do with women, because they were struggling with physical conditions, etc., around the menopause. And it became something that I, used to need to go and see women about on a regular basis. I mean, is that obviously that's something that creeps into this as well? Is that particular age, the changes that women go through at that particular age, not necessarily understood by employers all of the time as well?
No, that's to be honest, since starting becoming a health coach, so I qualified in March last year. This is literally, especially in the past year, it's there's been a lot of awareness being raised around menopause and how misunderstood it is, especially in the workplace. I know there's things going about putting policies in place so that women, like, there are things to help them to cope, because again, I know women who have had to leave work because of the symptoms that they've had from menopause, or there's so many, a broad range of different things, not only physical symptoms, but also how it affects them mentally as well. A lot of women say they feel like they've lost their identity because with the brain fog, especially, they literally just can't remember or recall what's going on or what they were meant to be doing. And obviously this is going to have an impact in work, as well as the rest of the physical symptoms, feeling uncomfortable when a hot flush comes on. Obviously I haven't been through it yet, so I'm just listening about it, but I know from family like how difficult it can be.
But you're an ear to that as well anyway, so you can be empathetic to that and an ally to that. You mentioned mental health there, and it is World Mental Health Day today, and posts all over social media about that from different organisations. Is that something that you find that you talk quite a lot about with the women that come through to you? Because obviously there is a big connection between your mental health and your physical health, and actually, keeping healthy from a physical point of view can really help with your mental health. So is that something you talk quite a lot about?
It's not necessarily something that I'd bring up in a session, so to speak, but I suppose the way I would help them, it encompasses the whole aspect of health, because like you said, it's not just physical health. In order to be healthy, you need to look at all aspects. So it'd be
But do you get that kind of feedback from them when you're helping them through their kind of physical health, etc., that it's actually, made changes in other ways to them?
I'd say, yeah, like they've gained more clarity on things, because a lot of time as well, they'll have tried stuff in the past like dieting and it hasn't gone well, and that's led them to believe that there's something wrong with them, and not necessarily question whether that diet was actually right for them or not, because we're all unique individuals, so one diet isn't going to fit everyone. And that's what I help them with, is to discover what actually works for them. So they actually find it's quite nice to do things their own way and not following a set of rules, which I feel like a lot of the health industry is like, when you come across adverts, it's like, oh, you need to be eating just this, or eating it this way, or
Well,
X
there's
way.
always a new fad diet-wise, isn't there? Always a new fad.
Yeah.
You know, you turn on the TV, and whichever diet book you had last month, it's gone in the bin. I mean, look, some of the basic principles have stayed the same for years. If you put rubbish in your body, whatever rubbish is for you, sometimes that varies. Then you'll feel rubbish. And actually, if you don't exercise at all, you're going to feel rubbish as well. So getting some of the balance back in your life, I guess, is the important key here. Realizing that we are people that need to exercise, people that need to be on the move a little bit more. See what I did there? And and people that need to eat reasonably healthy. For myself, I gave up alcohol in March. There you go.
Wow.
That was one of those things.
Have you found it?
I've actually found it really easy.
Yeah.
And I understand that for some people that's really hard. And obviously anybody with an addiction to alcohol is going to find that incredibly hard. The thing that frightened me most about it was that I wasn't going to be able to find anything to drink other than Coke.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with Coke. Other soft drinks are available, but I just don't particularly like it myself. I'm not a fan. So I was worried that when I went out for an evening with other people that it was going to be really limited. But what I have found is that a lot more places where you go now, pubs, clubs, whatever, have now accommodated people not drinking but wanting to drink something that tastes like alcohol. So I used to drink beer pretty much everywhere that I've been, whether it's been a concert or a pub or wherever. Even when I went on holiday, all inclusive, to Portugal,
really,
the all inclusive bar had non-alcoholic beer.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I just think that that's kind of a change that's happening. And I think part of that is a generational thing as well, because my son, who's 21, just finished university, he's never drunk. And a lot of his friends don't drink. I think a lot of younger people don't drink now, and actually wonder why there's a generation of us that need a drink tonight, and it becomes a bit of a crutch. So like lots of things, you might not be fully addicted to it, but I think there are things that can just become really easily habitual in your life.
Yeah, because that's what I find with a lot of my clients as well. It's like they do these things out of habit because they are just habits. And when you actually ask them whether they enjoy it or not, so sometimes it's literally just because they just do it on autopilot and not really even think about whether they enjoy it or not. It's just because it's, Friday evening, they finish work, and it's like, oh yeah, I'll just
have a drink now.
Yeah.
It's just turning those habits into different habits, isn't it? That's all it is, really. It's just and when it comes to things like that, it's just putting a different drink in the supermarket trolley when you go around, rather than one that's got alcohol in it. It's as simple as that. Well, it can be. Now tell us a little bit about your experience of Move. How did you come to Move?
So this is probably going to tie back to like the lockdown. So I started, obviously I qualified in March last year. So a lot of my time building the business was spent behind the screen. And like I said earlier, I'd much prefer to see people face to face. So around, it was earlier on this year, so I'm still fairly new to Move. I think I went to the first networking event on June. But yeah, around like April, I was like, right, restrictions have been lifted. I'm going to spread my wings and see people face to face. So I just went on Eventbrite and was looking for networking events, and networking came up, which is what Move do on a Saturday and Sunday.
Tell anyone that has never been netwalking before, what does netwalking involve?
So networking is basically we meet up for 7:00 on Saturday or Sunday. So Saturdays at Sefton Park in Liverpool, and Sundays at West Kirby in the Wirral. And the whole premise is that you're getting to go outside in nature. You get to do 10,000 steps. So it's purposely made so you get your 10,000 steps in for the day, all while being outside, getting some sunshine if it's sunny, or getting rained on. So far it hasn't rained, I don't think, while I've been, but yeah, and you're getting to socialize and meet other business people or people who are wanting to develop themselves personally in like a not
but you're not. Let's dispel the scene. You're not all walking around going, right, well, I'll give you my business card, you give me your business card.
Oh,
let me do a little pitch to you for a minute whilst we're walking, and and it's like, oh yeah, well, I've got a motor. Do you want to buy a motor? No, I don't want to buy a motor. I do plumbing. Yeah, well, I'll get you around next Saturday. It's not like that then.
No, not at all. It's all about just having like genuine conversations with normal people about what's been going on in your life. Everyone we just talk about anything and everything really. So if we do have issues that we'd want help with the business, then we can ask each other for different advice, and also just learn more about each other. Like I feel from joining Move that I've made some really amazing friendships, and that's just from going since June. There's so many incredible people.
Well, that's one of the things that I've really enjoyed about Move, I have to say, is that I feel that there's a sense of kind of family there, if you like. You're meeting people. Yes, at first you kind of need to navigate the fact that they need to know a little bit about you and your business, etc. But I don't feel like when you go to because there's weekly meetings as well, aren't there, which are online. I don't get the feeling when you turn up at one of these meetings that it's just come in, do a pitch, and then hopefully there's somebody, really just hope that there's somebody there that's going to buy your wares, and that's the end of it. I do feel that there are genuine conversations week in, week out about the kind of sticking points, if you like, that everybody that's growing a business faces, and I feel it's as much as people can do. I think there's some really genuine and open and honest conversations had in those spaces about the problems that people have experienced, and there's advice given in a caring way by everybody else about maybe if they've been through it, what they've found to be helpful. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, definitely. For me it's been amazing to have. I feel like it's you've got like access to like a hive mind when you go, because obviously everyone's got they're all in different businesses and they've all had different experiences, so whatever you're going through.
Do you feel like it's fine. Do you feel like it's having coaching, but almost with 8 people at a time or whatever?
Yeah, definitely. And it's all so interesting to hear different perspectives as well, because what one person says doesn't necessarily mean that that's the right way to go. So it doesn't necessarily resonate with you. Someone else may chip in with something else that may be more fitting for you at this moment in time that you can start implementing. So I always feel like I go away from the meeting like empowered to do something new, or I feel like I've solved a problem. So yeah, Move's amazing.
So when are you next doing netwalking? That's what I want to know.
Saturday. I haven't been like the last few Saturdays because I was learning to do archery, so I gave it
Oh,
a
have
miss.
you really?
Yeah, it was so good.
Archery is great.
Yeah. Have
Yeah.
you done it? Yeah.
I've done a bit of archery. I've done longbow as well. Have you ever tried longbow?
No. Is longbow the one where you don't have the...
Or you
Oh
stretch it
no.
back? Yeah.
No, I haven't done that one.
Yeah.
That sounds like hardcore though.
It is pretty hardcore. Never killed anyone yet, which is good. But you can do things like longbow at Centre Parks. There's a good advert for Centre Parks if people ever want to go there. Other holiday venues are available as well that probably still do archery as well. But there you go. But yeah, no, I've done things like longbow at places like that. It's quite tiring on the old arms.
I was gonna say, I can imagine it to be, especially because like archery was, but like longbow, I'd imagine is worse.
And you just have to be careful you don't get your chin. Do you know what I mean? Because you're like there, and then get friction burn if you're not careful. You end up walking around like you've got a minor goatee all day long. So yeah, you do have to be careful. What's your kind of looking forward towards next year? Have you got any major ambitions for next year, or where would you like to see your business going next year?
I really want to. So at the minute, I'm just working like one-to-one with clients, but I really want to get like a membership going. I've already got the name for it, so it's just because I do my business alongside my full-time job, so it's managing like both aspects of it. But I would really like to get like a membership going because I feel like creating a community so that people know that women know that they're not alone with what they're going through, and then we can all share, what we're learning, what's worked, and I just feel like that'd be a really nice thing to do. So that's something
that sounds brilliant. Now, so if people want to know what Rachel's thinking of calling her new community, you have to come to a Move meeting. If you don't, you won't find out. Just keep it secret. Right, and just and just let people. So if you go to one of the networking meetings and you meet Rachel, you might be able to find out. If you don't, you won't. Simple as that. Just keep it there. You see, keep it there. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure talking to you today, finding out a little bit more about your business, and we're gonna be having more of these Move TVs every week. So do feel free to volunteer someone else that you know and say, right, you've got to do another one, right? Get in touch with Graham. You've got to do another one. I hope if you've been watching, you've enjoyed it. This will be streaming out as it goes over the next week or so. So if you missed it and you're watching it on catch up, hi. Hope you've enjoyed that. We're going to make sure it goes out elsewhere on social media land as well, so that more and more people can have a look at it. If you want to know more information about Move and what's behind Move TV, then very simple. Go to the Move homepage on LinkedIn in this instance. There is more information there on what Move is all about. Same for any other channel. At the big top of the channel, there will be more information about Move. Until next time, which will be hopefully the same sort of time next week, we'll say goodbye from Rachel.
Yeah, goodbye everyone. Thank you for watching, and thank you as well for allowing me to be the first one on Move TV.
There you are, absolutely the first one on Move TV. And goodbye from me. If you fancy coming on Move TV, then do get in touch, and we will make sure that we will program you in, and everyone else can find out a little bit more about you and your business. Until next time, bye for now.
Bye.